Hello. This short snippet is going to show you a little bit about how there's a difference between galleries and dropdowns when you're trying to drill into data. And it's something I thought you might want to see just as an FYI. So I'm here and I have an app, and this app is connected to SharePoint, and it's also connected to the Power Apps connector for makers. And I have two galleries. On the apartment screen, I have a gallery that is just listing all the apartments. Now, what I did though is when a person browses to this screen, it will create a collection for this list in SharePoint just to make it a little bit more performant. So I just do on the visible of the apartment screen, I did a clear collect, and I called that collection apartment listings, and it's coming from SharePoint table called ARB listings 500, right? And so you can see that this table has some values in it, but it also has some nested fields. So these are fields that, like editor and author and manager, the peeper fields that are records. In other words, there's a whole bunch of values inside of a record, right? So you would get the display name and stuff like that. And what's interesting is with galleries, you basically, if you want one of those record items, and I'll just show you this in a collection just to make sure you understand. You see that these look like this little grid here, right? And basically, if you click on them in the collection view, you can see all the fields that are in that record. And so they're kind of like sub-values that you can go dig up. Notice that the picture is here, right? And so when I wanted the picture, basically all I had to do was this item dot, and now I want to go into the record. So I go dot again, and then all those sub things that were part of that record are visible. So I can go and just pop them into the gallery. The other thing, if I go to the environment screen, here's this is the formula. I'll just make this a lot bigger. This is the formula here for getting all the environments. And this record, this returns a table as well, and there is a single column called properties that is a record. So if we go look at that in our view collections, because I did the same thing, I created a collection, you'll see this properties column here, and if you click on it, you'll see all the properties that exist associated to an environment. Its region, its created time, its name, its environment type, blah, 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 production, sandbox, whatever, and then so forth. And the most important thing to me in this case was the display name, because in Dataverse, when you look at the name column is a GUID and not a display name. So the other thing I wanted to point out is even in properties, there's another set of records that can be clicked down into when it comes to the users tables and stuff. So I want this display name. So all I'm going to do is the same thing I did before with SharePoint is in this, I'm going to drill into the properties, hit a dot. And when I hit that dot, I get all the properties. There's my region hint, my display name, my creation type, my blah, 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 all the things that we saw in that record, okay? Now, this makes total sense to me, right? And why am I doing this video is because what isn't the same is when you're trying to show these things in a drop-down menu. So here, I have a third screen where I build a collection on the visible here that shows me all the environments for that creates a collection with all the environments that I can see, right? And so let's just scroll here, and then let's look at that collection that call collection environments. Now, collection environments, again, you see that environments, right? We saw this earlier, has a little record area, right? And so someone's assumption might be that since I'm just going to go to the items property of this and show you that I just set it to the collection. So let's just set it to the collection. And basically, this is all I get, right? So let's say I want the location, okay? So now my drop down is going to show me all the environment locations, right? Okay, so fine. But I don't want location, I want display name. Now you would assume I could go into those properties and do this, but not in the drop-down menu. Cannot do that. I can't expand upon that record in this drop-down menu. So what I have to do is add the column. And so this is something that I find kind of challenging to remember. But basically, whenever you can't drill down, make sure you've created a collection that you can add a column to. Okay, so if I highlight this and just type add columns, now I can choose to add it to my environment collection, and I have to decide what I'm going to call this column. I'm just going to call it what it is, which is display name. And now if we look here, we see properties, so I can grab properties, and now I can drill down into the property. All right, so now I can actually drill down. Now my collection includes display name, and now I can show those. That comes display name, and then I want to show display name. Okay, and there it is. Okay, so now I see all of my environments. So I just wanted to show you this because it can be a little challenging if you're used to working in galleries and then you hit a drop down and you realize, oh my goodness, I can't drill down into records here. And so you have to remember to add the column. And then when you're in that function, add columns, now you can add the column you need, which is a drill down in the properties, and then display it in your drop down. I hope that helps you when you're actually kind of you're drilling down into data and you want to get to something that is missing, but you know it's in a record. Depending on whether you're in a gallery or in a drop down, you might take one of these two approaches. All right, have an awesome day, and I'll be talking to you soon.